it's Sunday once again, my favorite day of the week, of course. But I'm just really so happy right now because I just got back from Glasgow for the annual Glasgow's Pop Fest. Um, it's so amazing, and I would really highly recommend it, especially to my dear friends in the Philippines who are watching right now. If you're planning on going on holiday to the UK next year, make sure you include Glasgow's Pop, because it's normally around July, like late last weekend of July, or maybe first weekend of August. But yeah, make sure you do that because it's absolutely amazing. So I'm really happy right now. And also, the reason why I'm so happy is because it's Sunday. It's just gone 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in the UK, which means it's 1 minute past 9 in the evening in Manila. And of course, every Sunday I get to talk to awesome drummers. And I'm so glad that our guest today said yes to appearing on Ask the Drummer. And he's here now. So, my dear friends, please welcome Dak Kelly. Yay! Woo! How are you, Dak?
I'm very good, very good. Thank you, Anne. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm
Good.
so happy. I'm so happy right now. But and I just want to say thank you so much. I know
Pleasure.
it's such a short notice, but I'm
Mhm.
glad that you're available and you're here.
Yes.
And also, I've seen you recently with Midway still.
Yeah.
The tour is over now.
Yes, the tour is over. Thank God. No, it was. Look, no, it was wonderful fun. I say thank God in a way that, yeah, we're getting on a bit now, and we don't look after ourselves very well when we go away. It's a very short tour, 5 dates, but of course there's a lot of late nights and alcohol
Yeah,
involved, and
yeah, yeah.
just the physical aspect of performing. So we're a little bit broken. But yeah, we needed, yeah, you do a week's tour and then we need a week post tour to recover. But I'm okay now. I'm capable of doing this interview, so it's all good.
Oh, that's good. Well, I was gonna say it must be really tiring, especially for you. You're so energetic.
Thank
I've
you very
never
much.
seen a drummer that's just really, really like
Yeah, I mean,
so full of energy.
yeah, you were saying, and it's weird because like if I look back at footage, in my head, I think that I'm going absolutely doolally and going all around the kit, and then I look back and it just looks really slow, and I'm hardly moving. Yeah, in my head it's a lot faster, But yeah, but that is kind of how I play. That's always kind of my
Okay,
yeah. I guess
so
it's my style.
so
Yeah.
you think that gig or the tour that you did, you were still slower then? So you were a lot
Yeah,
faster
yeah.
in the past?
Trust me, yeah. In my head, I'm a lot more energetic, you
Wow.
know. And then I look back and I think, oh my God, I'm hardly moving. I'm literally, but that's just, you have a perception of what you're doing, and
Yeah,
then of course, and of course the perception is probably different to people
yeah.
watching than to our perception or my perception. But yeah, I used to be a lot more energetic as when I was younger. It gets
Oh
hard,
wow.
physically, and
Yeah,
mentally it does get harder. It's yeah, it's part and parcel with playing drums. It's something when you were really young, what you could do around a kit. It's hard to do. It's hard to replicate when you're like me, when you're in your late 30s. So it's
but you've still got it. You're still very, very fast and very, very energetic. But I
thank you.
just want to say hello to Romeo. Says thank you so much for joining us live. She's in the Philippines at the moment, so thanks, sis. Also, before we start, I just want to give a massive shout out to Richard Farnell, who's in the Sun Charms and also the owner of Vinyl Exchange in Manchester.
Cool.
Because if it wasn't for Richard, I wouldn't have seen the advert for Midway still, because he posted it on Facebook.
Brilliant.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so thank you so much, Richard. I hope you're
Yeah.
watching,
Yeah.
but
Well, I
thanks.
did get an email from someone saying there was nothing on the website with
Yeah,
the Castle Hotel. So thank God for Vinyl Exchange. That's all I can say.
yeah, yeah. I think unless you've actually followed the band,
Yeah.
then you don't see it. You don't see anything
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the gig. So
Yeah.
And
Next,
also,
yeah, we'll do a better job next year, maybe of promoting. Yeah. We're not very
yeah.
good at stuff. We'll try harder.
Also, I just want to dedicate this episode to James McMahon.
Yes,
Um, I listened to the interview that you did
yeah,
with James last year,
yeah,
and I just feel really sad. It actually made me cry because he's obviously a big fan of Midway still,
yeah.
and he was planning on, you know,
That's right.
going to
Yeah,
see
yeah,
you.
yeah. We were talking before the interview and afterwards, and I was saying, look, I promise you, yeah, because he was a big fan, and he'd
Yeah,
never. But in that thing, he's quite a bit younger, so he'd never seen the band play. And I remember saying, and he was like, at that point, we didn't know the tour dates. And he said, and I can remember him saying, are you going to be doing anywhere near Manchester? And I was like, look, I don't know. But I said, the minute I find out, I'll let
yeah,
you know everywhere I play, everywhere we play, I should say. Well, I promise. And of course, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
He's gone.
I thought
So
about,
yeah.
about
So this one's for you, James.
yeah,
Rest in peace, James
yeah,
McMahon.
absolutely.
Anyways, so yeah, right. Welcome to Ask the Drummer. Episode 178 is all about you, Dak Kelly.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna I'm gonna admit that I'm no I really don't know much about Midway still, although I do have a couple of 12-inch
Yeah,
singles because
yeah,
ever since I started collecting records, I like discovering all these bands that I missed out on,
yeah, yeah,
especially in the 90s, like I mean, I love a lot of the songs from the 80s, but in the 90s, I missed out on so many bands.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm really glad that I'm now finally going to get to know more about Midway still and
I'll
you, of
tell you
course.
everything.
So we're going to start from the very beginning. So I asked you earlier before we came on live where you're from. So you're from London?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a proud Irishman, but I was born and bred in South London and North Kent. Big Irish family. But that I
Yeah,
kind of born in Greenwich, lived in New Cross, and then moved to Bexley Heath. So it's all South London. Let's just
South London.
call it South London. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like? I mean, London, of course, is another big music capital of the world. So, but what was it like for you growing up in South London, especially the music scene?
It's fantastic. I mean, yeah, I mean, we live out of London now, but as I always say, London's busy and big and everything. The older you get, you kind of just step away from it. But I go back for gigs all the time. There's still lots of friends and everything in London, and London is a fantastic city in terms of if you want to go out and do things. Whether it's music, whether it's the arts, whether it's theatre, whatever. To eat food, whatever, it's fantastic. So, and it was the same when we were kids. So, in terms of access to music, whether you're purchasing, from record shops, or whether you're going to gigs, it's arguably one of the best cities in the world. It is because every band, every touring band comes to plays in London, so you would get
Yeah,
to see,
yeah,
any band you wanted to see, you would get to see them. If
yeah.
they're touring, yeah, yeah.
So you were able to go to a lot of gigs when you were young, because I mean, I'm just sort of like comparing it to my experience in the Philippines when we were teenagers. I mean, it's me especially. I wasn't allowed to go,
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
any
well,
of those.
I'm not sure we were, but my early gigs we probably weren't allowed to go. But we would go and say we were having sleepovers at friends' house or something like that, and then sneak off to a gig somewhere, and then it gets to a point when I don't know, when you're kind of like 18 years of age, and I started literally 17 and 18 is when I started leaving the house properly, and gigs galore, and I used to follow. Predominantly when I was really, as I say, when I was 18, I followed, there was a band that came from the Undertones called That Petrol Emotion.
Oh
And,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I used to follow them religiously when they were kind of small, when they were first starting this is like 1985. So I
Oh,
was 18 but that led to everything, it really did. It's all my friends that I still have loads of good friends, but a lot of that, it's either your school friends that you were tight with because of music or because of football or whatever, and then when you kind of go off and explore further, and go
Yeah.
to follow that petrol emotion everywhere. And in doing so, saw some incredible bands.
Wow.
Just all the time, and then eventually ended up in a half
In the
decent.
band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
did they get to know you?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
obviously you
yeah,
followed
yeah.
them. They go, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. They did. I mean, they were really good because I was sort of like the first few times I went to see him. I was living in Bexley Heath, and it would take me literally all night long to go to a gig and then get night buses home and everything. And eventually, I think I remember Damien just sort of saying, "Look, get in the van, come with us, and stay over at ours," because they all lived up in London Bridge, and that was it. So I had this kind of, there was a load of people. There was like a big sort of, there was a big sort of like almost commune. There was a lot of
okay.
squatting,
Oh, right. Yeah,
going on in and around Borough, but incredible people in a really amazing little scene. And yeah, so we used to go. They were playing a lot back then. They were playing
yeah,
all
yeah,
over, and I'm going to say they were playing, probably a few times every week, or it felt like that. And we would go and follow them, just all over the place. I loved it. I made some really amazing friends,
yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
could relate much about getting the late night bus because that's
yeah.
exactly what I do. I always get the late night bus
You're,
back home. So.
well, I always tell a story. This is great. So I remember there was a little period when they had a residency, the Mean Fiddler, when it used to be in Harlesden. It was
Yeah.
up in Harlesden. And I, at that point, I'm still living at home. I'm 18 years of age. And to get home, I was working as a graphic designer in Soho, but I would still have to get home before I go back into London. So I used to get the night bus from Harlesden back to Trafalgar Square, then wait for a night bus to Bexley Heath. And by the time I got back to Bexley Heath, I'd go to bed for about half an hour and then get up and get a train back into London. Yeah. Couldn't do that now.
Look,
Yeah, go to work. Yeah. And you think, yeah. So God bless them for sort of like looking after me. And then, I just to hang around Borough with them, But yes,
oh,
the
so
joys
you.
of being young. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Joys of yeah.
Well, Aiden said sound is good now. There was a slight echo before, but it's really good now, and
Yeah, I can hear
picture
you.
quality is fine as well. So, Aiden is my tech support. So whenever he says it's good, then it confirms it that we're okay and stuff. So, are you from a musical family at all?
Not I've heard, but my dad. I was saying my dad used to play. Yeah, he wasn't trained or anything, but my dad used to play keyboard. So I can remember as a kid, he had like a Bontempi type organ just sat in the living room, and he wasn't trained or anything, but he was able to just jam along and play with records. And the mad thing is, it's like I would say not from a musical family, but then having in recent years gone back and sort of like met up with a load of that side of the family, with his side of the family in Ireland. The link with so many musicians in and around the family, so many of my cousins and their children and things like that are all very musical. So maybe there is some, I don't know,
Yeah.
there is such a
Well,
thing, possibly, yeah.
coming from an Irish background, I think
Yeah,
I mean, the Irish people, like the Filipino people, they're all musical.
yeah. I mean, it's a culture for music, yeah.
Yeah, it is part of the culture.
Yeah.
But did you try and learn the organ or
No, I didn't. No,
no?
it wasn't my gig. I mean, the only thing I remember him playing some cool stuff. So that kind of probably goes in. But I mean, I used to sit there and have fart around on the keyboard, but it was never something I ever wanted to do. My first instrument was the viola or the viola, however you say it, which is like like the
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
violin. And I did that at school, but then the minute I started getting into I don't know music that was a bit cooler, then it wasn't a cool instrument to play. So that's when
teenagers music. Yeah.
that was goodbye to the viola. Yeah.
So why drums? What got you into drumming?
What got me into drumming? Right. One of my school friends, so this is when I was about 13 or 14. One of my school friends, Kev, he was in a punk band. He was a punk. We were all into music. So I remember being really into like, a lot of, I used to love Madness, Madness. I think my
Oh,
girl, Yeah, My Girl was my first single in about 1980, something like that. But I love the undertones, Buzzcocks, that sort of like poppier, punky thing. And I loved all the specials and the ska stuff. But Kev was a proper punk rocker, because his next door neighbour, this guy called Martin, was about maybe 2 or 3 years older, and they formed a punk band called Independent Bondage. So we were about 13 or 14, and they didn't have a drummer, so they asked me if I'd like to drum for them. So I started. Yeah, I think we had a snare drum, and then it was like pots and pans and buckets, but we had a couple of our own songs, and then the rest were like, I remember doing UK subs. We used to do a version of Warhead, I think, by UK subs and stuff like that. So that was it. Kind of once I did that, I mean, then I stopped for years afterwards. But that was, once you have that influence, and I can remember him playing me. He was the first time I'd heard Nevermind the Bollocks, because he used to have Nevermind the Bollocks. And even though he wasn't allowed to have it, his mum was a district nurse. So when she used to go off and do her nursing on a Saturday afternoon, we used to get out Nevermind the Bollocks and play it really loud, and then go off and have a bash in his shed. So and that's where it started. So Independent Bondage at the age of 13, 14. Yeah, 13.
But did you have proper drumming lessons, or
No,
just taught yourself how to do it?
Yeah, and I think it was maybe. I think there's an element of with anything. There's an element of something where it's a little bit. You have a natural aptitude to be able to do something.
Yeah,
and it depends, whether you want to take it further, if you enjoy it, whether you work at it, whether you practice and stuff. And I didn't really practice, but I suppose in an essence I did. I can remember just then going back and playing on my bed, and just playing on pillows, like all kids that are learning an instrument, And I remember having an old Adidas shoebox, which I hadn't really thought about until this interview was coming up. And I used to stuff it full of, like, I don't know, fabric, and it was an old empty Adidas trainer shoebox, and I would just used to hit that, and I just put things on, put it on my cassette player, take the stuff off the radio, put it on and play to it, out of time, I hasten to add. So so nothing's changed.
That's fantastic, because I always think of it, it's a gift. It's like a natural talent. I mean, you can learn it, of course. You can have proper lessons, but I always think that it's got to be in you. Got it in the first place.
Yes, but I think there has to be as I say, something where you can sit behind a kit, or you can sit behind a pillow, and somehow get some sort of pattern. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there has to be a little something there. And then a lot of it after that, it is all to do with how much effort you want to make. I mean, there was a thing recently that I remember, like Eloy Casagrande, that now plays with Slipknot, the new drummer for Slipknot,
Right.
And he was talking about how, and it's a weird thing, how nowadays the way drumming is, he was saying basically what is more important than talent is now practice and how much dedication, which is a kind of, I remember when he said that, I was thinking it's a shame, because it's, I'm not knocking practice and dedication, but it's never really been something. I've never really sort of like been involved in a lot of practice and a lot of dedication. Kind of just farting around a bit, and that gives you the individuality, which I think is the only thing that's sometimes lacking in modern drumming, if there is such a thing. I think that's my only concern. But for me it was just practicing. Badly, and then eventually a drum kit. That was really bad when I first got behind a drum kit.
Well, when I saw you at the Castle Hotel, I mean, apart from seeing you being really so like energetic and powerful and everything, it's your style. I thought it was only just a one time that you did it, but you always do this thing.
Yeah, and I'm not even aware I do that. I see pictures where it's mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a conscious thing. That's really weird. And then, over the years, I've seen so many pictures where I'm about to do that.
Yeah.
I do it. And of course, it's just, something happens. The adrenaline takes over, and you end up.
Well, I actually tried to capture it, but my phone is not good enough, and also I'm not very good with photography. But when I went on your website and I saw someone actually
Somebody,
captured it perfectly,
yeah,
I thought I'm gonna use this photograph. So thank you
yeah,
very much to that photographer, because it's such
yeah.
a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Nick is a great photographer. He did a few for us last year, and it's cool. Yeah, and as I say, it's not something I ever sit there and think I'm going to do that now. It just happens. It's just as you're playing. With a lot of playing, of
Yeah,
course, there are things you learn and how to get around the kit and keep in rhythm and keep in time and everything. But there are a lot of things that happen when you're playing that are just spontaneous, that you're not thinking about, that you're not aware about. And it's only then if you see a photo or a bit of footage and you
yeah.
think, okay, do I do that? Do I pull faces like that? Oh dear.
But have you always done that though, even in the 90s?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my drumming's changed. I think it's changed over the years. But yes, I think I was always, kind of. That was my style,
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
energetic. But then I think there was a lot
Drumming
of,
is
yeah, I think there was a lot of drummers then that were like that, and it's just. I guess I think a lot of it comes from the joy of drumming. When you sat there playing drums,
yeah,
it is a wonderful and joyous thing. And of course, if you sat there doing it in front of people, doesn't matter how many people are there. If
yeah,
you're
yeah,
playing and this, it could be a room full of 100 people, 200 people, or a room full of 10 people. You've got a few people there that are enjoying it and look like they're enjoying it. You feed off them, so you're going to start enjoying it. And that, and I guess for me, it comes out in in how I play. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I could tell that you're really enjoying, you're really
It was
enjoying
a
that.
lot. Yes. Yeah, no,
It
it
was
was a lot.
very hot, but it was very hot that
Hot,
evening.
too hot,
But you were
too
really
hot.
enjoying it.
But the bad thing was, like, it was really hot, and they forgot to turn the aircon on. So the aircon only got turned on after we'd finished. And then I did another thing where I positioned my fan. I have a little fan, to keep me cool and stop me dropping sticks. And I positioned the fan beautifully, so I knew it'd be on, literally on my hands. And then I realised I didn't turn the fan on either. So I only realised after we finished, I forgot to turn the fan on, and there was no aircon. So Jesus, it was hot. Yeah.
I think somebody mentioned that on your page to
I really
to turn the fan on. I didn't really get
oh,
that one.
that's yeah. So I'm going to get a big sign from now on that just says "Turn the fan on" and put it in front. Little
So
reminder.
after your first band, Independent Bondage, you said?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
So so you were only 13 at the time,
yeah,
but did
yeah.
you do a lot of gigs in?
No, no, no. I don't think we ever gigged. It was just playing in Kev's shed or his garage at the end of his garden, and we did that. And then it was weird because I'd been to. I mean, they were quite Martin. I think the guy whose band it was, Martin, was quite political, so he was very. He would be into at that point. He was into Crass and like Rebella Ballet and a lot of those anarcho punk bands,
Yeah,
as well as like the more commercial stuff in essence, like UK subs or whatever, and
yeah,
if that's going to be commercial. And then, but I used to still love, all like the whole, the whole sort of two tone stuff and everything, and the undertones. So I kind of was slightly different to them in that aspect. And then then it never. Then, as I say, it was like there was a lot of, when you're that age, it's probably a few years before in essence, going out into the world and meeting that petrol emotion and doing stuff. And through that,
yeah,
then the second band was a band again when I was about 18 called the Blimeys. And there was a guy that was playing drums. And so I said I'd play bass, right? So we formed a band. We were all very young. And this guy, Gatty, who's no longer with us, bless him, he wasn't a great drummer. So one day I said, well, look, I used to, years ago, play the drums. And we were having a practice, and I sort of had a go. Again, there wouldn't be a kit; it would just be something really basic.
yeah,
To go, and that was it. And at that point, 17, 18 probably, that was it. Then there was no stopping. And since that age, after
yeah.
I was then the drummer in the Blimeys, and after that, yeah, That's from lineage, that linear progression. That's from then
Yeah.
to this day now. Yeah, I can now call myself a drummer, or well, it's not. I wouldn't call myself a drummer. I would say I play the drums. Let's just say that. Yeah.
You're the drummer. If you play drums, then you're the
All
drummer.
right. Okay. Excellent.
I think no, I remember someone said that to me recently.
Yeah.
You know, that if you play drums, you're the drummer.
Yes. All right. Yeah. I'll take it. I never. I mean, it's. Yeah. I suppose I am.
It will come to me, but I know someone did say that to me. But
Yeah.
anyway, so after the Barmies and then the Midway still.
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I
So,
mean,
yeah,
so I'm trying to think. Yeah. So there were other bands. There were other bands, like some other bands with school pals and people I used to live with. There were, yeah. So there was a band called Lumps, and then there was, so me and Little John, who I was at school with. Luke John was the original bass player, and me in the Midways. Yeah. So me and John would have met at the end of school. So I was heavily into the Undertones. John was a massive Damned fan, and in those later stages of school, when you're really into music. So we
yeah,
John's the bass player, I was the drummer, so we were kind of like a little package. And we were in a band called USMF. They were very noisy, and we were then gigging. It was quite good. I mean, it was a good band. It
yeah,
was. We got some dates. We played. I mean, we played around quite a bit. It was probably in operation for maybe a couple of years or something. Incredibly loud, unbelievably loud. The guy Rob eventually went on. He played in a band called the Hypnotics, who were they were Jim Jones, who now
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. So that was his original band, and Rob then went on to play guitar with them. But me and John were the rhythm section in that, but that all crumbled and finished for whatever reason. And
yeah,
then we were looking to do our own thing, to carry, to somehow maybe form a band ourselves, or find someone to play guitar. And we were looking,
yeah,
that in those days, all you could do to find other musicians was look in the music press. So you would look in, Sounds, Melody Maker, or NME. And lo and behold, there was an advert and I think maybe Paulie might know better than me, but there was an advert in Melody Maker that just said singer, songwriter, guitarist, looking for bass player and drummer, into Lemonheads, Husker Du, Buffalo Tom, Dinosaur Jr. And we saw that, and we phoned up, and that was Paul Thompson, and the rest is rock and roll history.
yeah. So this was 1990. It was
This is 1990. Yeah.
1990. Oh,
Yeah.
does USMF mean anything?
I think it was the United States of Motherfuckers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, and I could be wrong about this, but the logo. So the logo. It's quite a cool logo, but I think Rob. I'm sure he said, and I could be wrong, but on the back, when they busted the Charlie Manson family, Charles Manson, they had the door of the farm where the Manson family all lived, and it would have all the piggy stuff, piggy this and death of everyone. There was a thing on the door of the Manson farm door that was just said USMF, and Rob had taken the name from that. I mean, that could be wrong. That could be a myth. I do come up with a lot of these things that might not be factually correct, but I'm sure that was the case. Yeah, so that's it. So that's where the name came from. Yeah.
What about Midway still? How did you come up with Midway still?
With the name, we didn't have a name for ages. We didn't have a name, and I think, had we rehearsed? I can't remember if we'd rehearsed, but we were trying to find a name, and I think Paulie one day, Paul literally was looking at the newspaper, and on two separate pages, he saw a headline that contained the word Midway, and on the other page, I think it said the word Still, and he just had this brainwave. Yeah. And
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And I remember being the date, and funny enough, I still have the piece of paper when I scribbled it down, and I wrote Midway Still, because I was, at that point in time, I was doing a little bit of work. Do you remember a band called The Primitives? Do you remember a band?
Oh, yeah. They're still playing.
They're still playing, yeah. So I was running their fan club, because I used to know guys that ran Lazy Records, and I think I was in the offices at Lazy Records doing the fan club, sorting it out. And I remember Paul phoning, and I remember writing it down, and I've still got that piece of paper where I've scribbled the word Midway still there. Yeah. So it would be worth at least £1 now, maybe £2. You know? I'll contact Bonhams or whatever. Yeah.
So Tig, Tig Williams.
I used to know really well. I used to know Tweedy, the drummer before Tig. But yeah, I do. I've met Tig a few times. Yeah, and Paul and that.
Wow.
Yeah. Because you were at the gig in Manchester, and Orville, Tony, Big O, he was at that gig, and Orv was used to manage and tour manage the Primitives. He was at the Manchester gig. Yeah.
Well, what's it like being the is it president of a fan club or something?
Well, it was only because I remember the fan club had been in. No one had looked after it for ages. It had been in an absolute state, and I remember Wayne Morris, who ran Lazy, said to me, because it was like a little social circle, and I remember Wayne said, "Look, can you come in and try and sort out, go through letters, answer letters, send T-shirts, and he'd give me some, cash in hand." Well, no, it wasn't cash in hand. It was all very, very above board with the tax man. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And he used to, just give me a few quid, and I'd go in and sort that out after the fan club. Yeah. So.
And were you close to the band, like Tracy, and
you get signed photos. You get the band to sign photos and send them off to.
My God.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen them? Like recently, have you seen it?
No, not for years.
They're doing a tour this year.
Yeah, I know they're still playing, aren't they? I know they're still.
Yeah.
I see Orv, and then there was Tweedy, the first drummer. I used to see Tweedy loads, and then Tweedy moved back to Coventry. We used to go and visit Tweedy, and then we would see Steve, the bass player, and Paul, guitarist. We used to see Steve's no longer with us, bless him. But this is going back. I'm going to say 20 odd years ago. Maybe not quite. Maybe 15 years ago. We haven't been. So I haven't seen those guys.
Yeah. I know that they're doing a gig at the Cavern.
Are they
in Liverpool?
Oh wow.
And yeah. I don't think I'll be able to go there, but I put it down in my diary. That's why and I do like Tig. Tig is amazing.
He's a drummer, lovely guy. Yeah. He is. They're great songs. And Crash. As a pop song.
Yeah.
That was an amazing pop song. You think about that then. Crash was huge, and that was a proper, a little indie band coming up and breaking mainstream. I remember them being on, they were on Wogan, which was, there was a program over here.
TV show.
Yeah, which was a really big deal. And I remember them being on the Wogan show, which was huge. Yeah, that was prime time. That was serious.
Yeah. Well, they were massive in the Philippines as well, especially that song Crash.
Wow.
My age, my generation, we love that. We love the Primitives, and we love that song. But anyway, so your Bandcamp page, it says that this is a brilliant description. It's like wholly unsuccessful since 1990. When I listened to James McMahon's interview with you, I think it's only right to say that you're very self-deprecating. I had to actually look it up. I have to look up the meaning of that word because I've never used that before. Yeah. That description. But I think it's definitely you're self-deprecating because you don't realize that there's so many people out there, massive fans of Midway still.
No, it is weird. It's a strange thing, and we always talk about that. How it's a great band, and it had that. So when we started, it started getting bigger and bigger, and then the first thing, the first live review. And you're kind of like, oh, crikey, okay. And then you get signed, and then the first single, it's like single of the week in NME, which is massive in our little world. But the three of us then, me, Paul, and John, it's just it's our nature. We could never be you know, sat there and kind of, you know, playing the rock star, you know, sort of like personas. We couldn't do that. It's just not our world. So we've always had this thing where you kind of, yeah, you don't take yourselves too seriously, because it's not that you don't think you're very good, but it's just really hard for us to think of ourselves as any good. It's just our personalities, you know. And I've often said that I remember doing bits and pieces, and Lawrence that used to run Roughneck, and Lawrence has gone on now. He does Domino, and you know, he's done wonderful things. But Lawrence, I can always remember him saying in interviews, try and be a little bit more like the Panic Street Preachers. You know, where you go in and you have this complete belief and in self-importance in yourself. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, you know, and maybe in doing that, you could kind of push yourself a little bit further up the food chain, if it's such a thing. But we couldn't. It's just not our world. We never could take ourselves seriously. And yeah, but we are all right.
Sometimes you have to do it, like bands have to do it, you know, make yourself legends.
Yeah, and maybe we should have had like a public persona and then just play that and then be something completely different. But we found it really hard. We always found it really difficult to just do an interview or something and just basically go, look, yeah, do you know, we're great. Everyone come and see us now. And in hindsight, maybe we should have done that, but we didn't, you know. And it's not what we are as people, you know. So it would be very difficult. We're being true, you know. I guess the thing is that still to this day we're very true to ourselves, to what we are, you know. But yeah, it is. I now realise probably more now than I've ever done that it's a really good band, you know. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, first time I've seen you live, I was really impressed. Very loud, but very.
Yeah, good.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I was just thinking that, you know, with Noel Gallagher and Oasis, he did say that they're the next best thing. And you should have said exactly the same. You know, when the next,
we're the next.
And you also did a Peel session, because I think anyone who's done like Peel session, I mean John Peel, you know, he's such a legend. It's a very important for any band.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. Oh, it was massive. It meant the world to us, you know, because all three of us, you know, will have spent our formative years listening to John Peel. You know, it's massive for me. You know, I can remember having like a little transistor radio, and you know, there was a little period where you'd have to go to bed at a certain time, and Peel used to be on late. He used to be on like, I'm going to say like 10 o'clock. So you'd get that thing where you'd have to go to bed. You know, mum and dad would tell you to go to bed, and I used to bring the little transistor radio to bed and just sort of lie under the covers and listen to him. And the amount of music, you know, he was like our guru back then. The amount of bands that he would play that you would then, you know, think, okay, well, that's it. I like that band now because John Peel has told me about it.
Yeah.
So much. So doing the Peel session was incredible, you know. Funny enough, I was talking yesterday. I was at a friend's, Russell, funny enough, Russell, the Midway's bass player.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend there, a friend of his that knew Frankie from Leatherface. And this guy had been in a band years ago and he had done a Peel session. And we were both saying, it meant the world to us. And hearing John Peel say my name on the radio, when he read out, you know, the band members, you know, Midway band members, I can always remember John Peel saying my name. And I was like, that's it. I've made it now. I am so happy. Yeah, I mean, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. It was, yeah, you know, you do feel like, you do feel like everything's been worth it. You know, I mean, and still to this day, you know, having done a Peel session is, yeah, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of that. So proud.
Yeah. Well, there's so many records nowadays that being issued. You know, it says Peel session.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one company called Precious Recordings. Okay. I don't know if he's contacted you or anything, but that's something. So, like, you know, get it out.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I remember them coming out a few years ago, and we only did the one because then we got kind of. I remember then it got a little bit bigger, so then we progressed on doing like an evening session. There was, I can't remember the guy what his name was, but it went up a level. I remember we did an evening session with whatever, you know. Shame because we could have done with staying a bit smaller for a little bit longer in a way, but it went very quickly And then I think
Yeah.
the next session we did was like, more, more mainstreamy. And there was a guy, so the evening show on Radio One. I can remember
Yeah.
he did that. I can't remember what the DJ was called, but yeah. So, but
Yeah.
I don't even have I don't know where that Peel set. I've not listened to that Peel session in years. I don't have
Oh,
it. Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't have.
Did you go on Top of the Pops?
No, we didn't. No, which is a damn shame. Yeah. There was a great single, which was just a single called "Just Get Stuck," which is great, which we don't play anymore. And that kind of when that got started to get released, I remember Lawrence saying, "This is the one. Get yourselves ready to do Top of the Pops." But then at that point, there was a lot of label wranglings, so it's all getting a little bit music industry, so I was saying, and a little bit fractured. And then I think could be wrong, but I think I'm right in saying the single got delayed, and then eventually out without much publicity or anything. We kind of missed the boat. Had it come out at the right time, then I think it probably would have. I mean, it was even pressed. It was even pressed as a 10-inch, so that the sales for a 7-inch and a 12-inch wouldn't go against each other. So you would just have the 10-inch sales.
Yeah.
Shame. And if if the world had been different, that would have come out when it was meant to come out, and we probably would have done it. Oh well, maybe it's not too late. It's surely they will bring back.
No, it's not. There's another one.
We will play it. Yeah, bring it back so that we can play
it. Well, there's another one called the Heritage Chart with Mike Reed. You can probably go now.
Can we? Yes. Can we please come on that? We never got pops. Pretty please, Mike Reed. May we come back and perform and pretend we're a bit young or younger.
Yes. I mean, there's so many. I don't know how he actually does it because they're not all new releases. I think it's just songs that he likes, and then he plays them, and it's the people who vote for it to get to number one. So it's online voting. But he's actually got a TV show online called the Heritage Chart, which is very similar to Top of the Pops. So,
but that Top of the Pops is great. Again, it's going back in those days. I do sound like an old fart, but there wasn't many. We're talking back in the days of 3 publications in terms of with the music press, 3 before you had Channel 4 with not many music shows on them. So Top of the Pops meant a lot, and then eventually you used to get little things. There was a Saturday morning one called the Pepsi Chart Show, right? And that would be on a Saturday morning, and that started getting big. And we managed to get on that, and that was, so I remember Wish being on there, and then Better Than Before got on there, where they played the whole thing on a Saturday morning. And again in our little world, that was like, wow, sort of like, well, here we are on television on a Saturday morning. Isn't that wonderful? But you just, because there wasn't, there was no internet back then, so music was a lot more confined. It was a lot harder to find bands, and and if you made it, there wasn't a lot of sort of like there weren't many platforms. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, so you came out like around the same time as Teenage Fan Club, I believe, because you were like compared to them during their Catholic education. I think this is their first album, and they sounded very different back then, and then it became a bit more. I don't want to say mellow, but the later albums. So, I mean, I'm new to Teenage Fan Club. I only found out about like with Midway still. I found out about Teenage Fan Club about 3 years ago, and now I really love this thing. So and they're still going as well. I mean, they're still touring. So what was it like at the time, like in the 1990s, which I missed out on?
It was amazing. I mean, the Fannies, what a band. I mean, and still to this day, I still love them, So at the label we were on Roughneck, and that was Lawrence. So that you had Fire Records, and Fire Records had then I think the Lemonheads had released something. Pulp were on Fire, and then you had the little offshoots of Fire, which was Roughneck and Paperhouse. And Roughneck had amongst we were on Roughneck, and Leatherface on Roughneck, and Paperhouse was Teenage Fan Club. So of course we had that. You know, one of the things when we signed, it was important because all these bands and the fan club. I mean, I still say every release with Teenage Fan Club. I mean, I haven't listened to the last few,
Yeah.
but I would say, do you know the album Songs from Northern Britain?
Oh, I love it. That's my most favorite. Yeah.
I mean,
I
that,
love that. I love that song. Yeah, the album. Sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's incredible. I have, I mean, a lot of their releases, and I mean, people will
Yeah.
go education and Grand Prix and whatever, but and
Yeah.
even the stuff after that, after Songs from Northern Britain. But for me, Songs from Northern Britain is one of the finest,
Yeah.
collective pieces of music. It's beautiful. It's
Yes.
beautiful, they were amazing. And I remember the first time we played up in Glasgow, and we played at King Tut's.
Oh.
And Norman came to the gig, and Norman gave us a cassette tape, and it was a compilation that he had done, and it was just called Groovy Tape for Midway Still. And he gave us, and again, it's another little thing that I still have my cassette tape from Norman Blake, which is a compilation of all bits and pieces.
Oh my God.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, it's a bit faded now. That's the only problem. All the songs, because obviously you just write out the song listing. And the last time clearing out the attic here, I remember looking through some cassette tapes, and it's really faded. And you can just about see that it still says, Groovy Tape for Midway Still. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's lovely. Yeah, what a cool thing.
You still got it.
I still got it. Yeah, and that's from that would be from when did we play? I mean, that was first time playing King Tut's. I don't know, 1991 or something, 92. I can't remember. And I still have. Yeah, I mean, it might not play anymore. It might have perished. So yeah. It might have perished like the elastic band in a pair of very old underpants. Yeah.
Have you seen them recently though?
I haven't seen them for years. No, for absolutely years. Yeah. I've watched a few things. I think it was last year they did some BBC concerts, didn't they, or something? And I watched on.
Yeah. They're always yeah.
But brilliant. Yeah, all of them. And I know Jerry still does bits and pieces, doesn't he? He's still.
Oh my God, I love Jerry Love. He was at Glasgow's Pop this weekend.
Oh?
God, even though, and he does his own solo now.
Yes.
And he's got his own band, Jared Love and the Magic Influence.
Yeah, it's lovely.
But because I was new to them, for me it's like two separate group. There's the Teenage Fan Club, and then there's Jared Love and the Magic Influence. But all the Jared Love songs, like Teenage Fan Club songs written by, he still plays them. He still does that. And
fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got to go and see them. You've got to, especially Jerry Love. You've got to go and see him whenever he plays.
I did see something. I remember thinking maybe if it wasn't last year or the year before that they were playing, and I remember thinking, "Oh Christ, I should go." And it wasn't a million. I think it was in Hackney or somewhere like that.
They played at the is it Betty Trot? Where Betty Trot?
Yeah.
And also Moth.
Could have gone.
There's a live music venue called Moth in London.
Okay.
Where's they play there as well.
Where's that?
God, it's I know I know it's a bit far from the Victoria Coach Station. that's how I do this thing.
Yeah, London's a bloody big place. Yeah, I mean that's and the trouble is, I mean I still think of London as in gigs in London, but if you're going from like South London to a gig in North London, you've always got to think about the getting home. It's hard work. I mean, London's colossal. But I know, as I say, I know they're still doing bits and pieces. So maybe next time. If I can
You'll see me there. If you go and see a Jared Love gig, I will be there, so I'll see you. But going back to another band that you were compared to is Husker Du.
Yes.
I remember the reason. I mean, I'm not really very familiar with Husker Du's songs, but I know that Bob Mould. I saw him play at the Shine On.
Okay.
I think it was 2 years ago, and this was solo, just him.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't believe how loud he was.
No. Yes.
He was just so loud.
Loud. That's saying something.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's bad, but it was just so loud. I think I only lasted about a couple of songs, and then I
Wow.
left and then
Too
watched
much.
another band.
Okay, yeah. And that Shine On's great. Midways, we played there a few
Oh,
years ago. 3 years ago, we did Shine 3 years ago, I think. Yeah, which is great. But I wish we had replayed. I wish we had played the same year as Bob Mould. That would have been, yeah, very, very special. But yeah, but he. I mean, look. I mean, I've seen him in every guise from Husker Du through to him doing solo stuff, and seeing then Grant Hart
yeah,
would sing the Nova Mob and everything. But Husker Du, yeah. I mean, arguably, all of the little bands. And I don't. Was there ever a scene? I don't know if it's a scene, but I think all of those bands that come from what we were doing, and we're off the going, all of them massively influenced by Husker Du. I mean, Husker Du were, yeah, the first time hearing them, it changed. They changed my world completely.
yeah.
I heard a
I'm gonna
lot.
say that it wasn't just me who found him loud. I think even the fans themselves, Husker Du fans themselves, I overheard a couple of people saying that, oh God, that was just so.
Just too, yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, um, right, going back to Midway still,
Yes,
you left in 1993.
I left in
Oh,
1993.
yeah. So
Milo,
why? Can I ask
Milo,
why?
yeah, yeah. Milo, my son was about to be born, and I remember thinking at that point in time, I would. Could I have done it differently? Quite possibly, but I remember thinking I wanted to be there for his formative years. Just yeah, and I would have been. And at that point, we were getting. It was big. We were doing it full time, and I remember thinking I would be. I would just be trying to juggle he's been there with Milo and going away and being there. So I called it a day, and the fun, as I always say, there was that aspect, with Milo about to be born, and the fact that the love had gone. I mean, with the Midways, what happened for us? Um, I always say it went too quickly. We got from starting to first gig to music press to getting signed to we had big agencies and big booking agencies. We were on the same booking agency as like Guns N' Roses and the Beastie Boys. His roster was huge, so it went too quick for us, and it became very music biz, and a lot of the love for me personally of the essence of being in a band, which is just being sat in a van with your mates driving around the country playing gigs, that kind of had gone. So I left. I literally left in '93. Yeah, they carried on. They got a new drummer who was you would love him. He was amazing. Brad, this guy, Scottish guy, amazing drummer, but it wasn't Midway still anymore. I mean, even Miles better than me. He was technically brilliant, but it was wrong for Midway still. And I think they carried on for a bit. There was an American tour. I mean, that was one of the things as well. I remember they went to America. So I'd have had, Milo would have just been born, and then I'd have been going off to the States and playing. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
But they carried on. Paul and John carried on with Brad, but it was wrong. And I think, if I'm right, I think with it, a year later they called it a
yeah,
day. They called it a
yeah.
day. Yeah, and they carried on doing bits and pieces. They had a band called Grouch after that was really good, but that didn't quite make it. Almost did, and yeah, and then we reformed.
And that's in 2000. So between 1993 when you left the band and then
Yeah,
2000 when you reformed, what were you weren't doing any drumming at the time?
not much. No, I mean, well, I was. I mean, I lived in Nottingham for a bit, and then I lived in Wales. And I was studying in Wales. I went back to do a degree. And was I doing drumming? Nothing serious. A little bit of just playing with bands and bits and pieces.
Okay, yeah.
And circumstances meant that I came back to London I think it must have been about 2098. Possibly I finished my degree. So 99, I reckon it might be 98 or 99. I came back to London. And then Paul was still here, so I used to meet Paul, I'd meet Paulie for beers. We'd go and watch football and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Just hang out. It's reconnected with an old friend.
Yeah.
And he suggested that we start doing the midways again at a certain point. I can't remember when. I might have been in another band. I can't. There was another band called Divine.
Southport?
Yeah,
The Southport? Because I was
the
going to ask
South,
you
the
about
South,
that one. Yeah.
yeah, the Southport with Simon from Snuff as well, that I did for God, quite a few years. And in theory, I'm still in an odd way. We just never do anything. But yeah, so and then John didn't want to do the midways again. So when we said we were going to start doing it,
Yeah.
I'd been at Russell, bass player now. Russell, as we say, Russell the new boy, who's been in Midway still since 2020. Years more, a lot longer than little John was. But Russ, I was at university with Russ, and I said to Paul, I said, well, I know a guy that might be up for, he's a great guitarist, and he can play. I'm sure he can really play bass. So I asked Russ. I said, would you be up for doing it? And lo and behold, he was up for it, and he's still to this day,
To this day. But I'm gonna ask you about this other band because I'm not sure about the timing. So you were in two bands at the same time because Southport apparently there's also in 2000.
Yeah, so Southport, right? So Southport must have been up. That's a lot later. Then there was another band called the Divine Rights of Kings, but that's never got anywhere. But that was with Russ playing bass. But I can't remember in what relation round. Was the Midways Reformation before that or after? I can't remember. But yeah, so I would be then doing the Midways again, very sporadic. We would just do little gigs here and there and bits and pieces. And then I started playing in Southport again. So Simon asked me to do Southport so that we could go and play in Japan. That was, we did it. And that's it. When is that? That's probably 2013, maybe? No, maybe. I can't remember. Let's call it 2009 or something. I can't remember. Yeah. But I started doing that, and so I was able to play in. Yeah, I was. Yes, yeah. It's hard, I couldn't really do it now. Well, actually, that's a lie. I'm playing loads of bands now.
You've got, But I mean, you mentioned Japan because apparently you said, I mean, this is from an article that I read. You said that the only thing that you regret is that you never went to Japan. So Simon Wells of Southport actually told you, play drums in Southport and then we'll go to Japan.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
I don't know if that's true, but that's the I remember, so I used to follow Snuff loads. I used to go and see, so I became friends with Si and Duncan and Andy and all that. And then the Midways used to play with Snuff, which was always a massive privilege for us, because I'd go and see them as a fan and then got to start playing with them, as a support band, which is brilliant. But then back when I came, I was always in contact with Simon. I always stayed in contact when I was in Nottingham and when I was in Wales, which is always contact. We were always phoning and stuff. And then when I came back, I remember he, for whatever reason, he was going to get Southport back. And then we got talking. And I can't remember this is a story, but this is what Si says. That he said, well, you never went to Japan with the Midways, and we should have done back in the day. And he said, right, I'm going to get fancy playing in Southport and we'll get a Japanese tour. And if that is true, and if that's the case, then he did very well because we did get a Japanese tour. And and it was fabulous.
And Midway still actually did twice. You went to Japan for
amazing.
So, what was it about Japan that you really wanted to go there and do?
Well, we used to get told that we were quite big in Japan, and we were on a major label then in Japan, and we never went out there. So the label, So even though we were on a little indie here back in the day, in the early '90s, it was some sort of almost like a major label in Japan. And then we've since been told, when we'd gone out, that if we'd have gone out back in the day, we'd have been playing big venues and stuff, because all of those little bands that used to go out, from Snuff to Senseless Things to Mega City 4, when they went out to Japan, they were, there was a massive following for those bands, so they played certain venues. And then I always remember back in the day, I remember Frankie where Leatherface went. I remember Frankie coming back with Leatherface, and he had a Japanese version of Smash Hits, which is like a teeny bop sort of
Yeah.
magazine.
Oh, I love
And,
Smash.
yeah, and the poster, the pull-out poster, was Midway still. And I remember, I remember thinking, God, why did we never go to Japan? Why didn't it happen? But we didn't. But we got there eventually. We were, so I can't remember when we went, but the Midways have done two
2010 and 2012. So you
was
did.
it okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It was fabulous. And both times were so good. Yeah. So
And the
good.
reception was still, like from the Japanese fans. What was it?
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, it's what you're getting is so much. People that had wanted to see us for a long, long time, and it's the venues aren't wrapped, but they are small venues that are full of people that just want to see you. So it is tremendous. Yeah, there's people coming up, with records, and it meant the world to them, and it was so much fun. And of course, in terms of it's so culturally different. So you're so privileged, as I've said before, to be able to go out and play as a band, play your drums, and playing, in a country like Japan. It was brilliant. Yeah. I'd love to go back. I'd really love to go back. So maybe, yeah.
Did you get a chance to tour? Maybe see like sightseeing and stuff?
Yeah.
You did, yeah.
We did. We went. I remember going to the temple in Kyoto and stuff like that. And, we are amazing places, and it's always. I remember when Southport did it. There was with Southport we went to one of the islands. There was like a little commune. There was a gig on an island. So I remember we got the ferry across, and that was pretty bonkers. Where you are literally in the middle of nowhere on an island just off Japan. But we played in some places with the Midways we played where you just kind of go, this is really surreal. I'm in the middle of nowhere. I kind of prefer that to them being in a, somewhere that's really touristy. It's like if you go, if you go to any, any foreign country, you've got your tourist element, which is, don't get me wrong, which is great. But the bits that I always love, kind of make you really appreciate is if you go off the beaten track somewhat.
I like doing that. Yeah.
And just kind of go, this isn't touristy at all, and that's the bits that make you just kind of wonder how cool it is to be somewhere else, rather other than the country you live in,
I can't really say whether you reached us in the Philippines because if you're big in Japan, maybe they were possible. Because I left in 1989 and the Middle East, so I didn't, I didn't really know whether Midway still, because I didn't even know that Teenage Fan Club actually got to the Philippines.
Have Teenage been there? Did they go?
Yeah, because I didn't know them until after being here, like 3 years ago. So maybe there's a Midway still, like fan base in the Philippines that I've not heard of.
You can organise a tour the Midway still Philippines tour.
I'm going to say that if any of the gig promoters in the Philippines watching live now, Midway still contact them, and then they're still doing gigs.
Absolutely, we're still doing it, even if it's very sparsely attended. It's worth doing. Just get a really small venue. Just get a venue that only holds 5 people, and we'll go over and do it. So.
Well, I think I remember the Wedding Present. Okay. They were doing a tour somewhere in Southeast Asia, I think, and they were asked to do a like a record shop gig. Okay. Not many people actually went, but when I asked David Getch about it. He said it wasn't well attended, but we were well fed. So.
That's very
So you need to go to the Philippines, and then they feed you really well.
It's those opportunities, and it's like any of those opportunities to arise. We would, at the drop of a hat, we would do it. There was talk a few years ago, and it never quite materialised. We were going to go to Brazil because. Because there was Better Than Before was on a compilation that came out back in the day, and this compilation did really well. It was called Another Kind of Noise, and so there's a little pocket of quite loyal Brazilian Midway Steel fans. And this one guy, obviously, he's now a promoter, or was a promoter, a really big festival in Brazil. And he was trying to get us on. But I can only assume that he loved Midway Steel. Everyone else organising the festival would have just gone, who? Who on earth Midway Steel? And so, and he was like going, yeah, look, I'll pay your flights, I'll pay all the hotel bills, and I'll pay you loads of money to. And we were like, this sounds too good to be true. And sadly, it was too good to be true. But yeah, I keep saying to Paulie to get hold of him. But look, but again, if anything, you know, if someone were to say to us, you know, come over and do a gig anywhere, we would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be wonderful. Yeah, why not?
Oh, what's next for Midway Still? Do you have another tour coming up, or?
Yeah, we've
yeah.
got nothing. It tends to be very, very sporadic because Paul lives over in France. So yeah, he's in France. So it makes it, in terms of, we're quite regimented with a quick rehearsal and then a tour. You know, that's all. I mean, we literally only rehearse for 2 days and then we tour.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard work. We're going to do it next year, definitely. And then someone came up to us, someone asked us if we'd like to do a festival next year. So we might do a festival, and maybe on the back of that, maybe some other festivals. Who knows? But we're definitely going to do the same little tour again. You know. Yeah. I mean, this year. London was brilliant. We sold out the Hope and Anchor, you know, in London, which was
brilliant. Yeah.
Which was fantastic. Brighton was good. Manchester was a lot of fun. They were great gigs. So you know, the first night we played in, where was it, in Oxford, and there wasn't that many people there, but there's enough people that are there to see you, and you sort of think, yeah, you know, and we will.
Yeah.
We'll do it again next year. And then if things come up, who knows? I mean, you know, people ask us to tour the Philippines, then of course we will, you know.
Hopefully anybody in the Philippines, you know, if you can arrange
yes, if you're watching in the
or you know, like you can go to 2 or 3 cities in the Philippines. So what about a new album? Are you thinking of doing a new album? And
I don't think so, no, because I think that's something that, you know, in terms of with a new album, you all have to be rehearsing a lot, you know, ideas, and of course, given Russ is down in Worthing, we live in Cape, Paul lives in France.
In France, yeah.
It's hard enough, you know, remembering old songs, let alone learning new songs. Yeah. Sadly, we're getting older and older and older. So, you know, yeah. I mean, I remember Paul. He did send over some new things he'd written a few years ago, and there was a couple on there that were brilliant. But yeah, we never. Look, I would say the chances of a new Midway Steel record are very slim. Very, very slim. Yeah. I doubt it's going to happen. You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't have the time to do it. You know, touring is enough. Playing live and these tours is enough, definitely.
Yeah, it's good for new fans like myself. You know, at least we get to see you live. So.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's great. You know, the fact that you're getting into it. And then it was like, even in the Brighton gig, you know, there were these. I think there were like these 4 little kids, and they were really young, and they weren't there with their parents or anything. Before the gig, you know, we could kind of see them going, that's, you know, that's Midway, that's the drummer, that's Midway Steel. And then when we were playing, they were stood there, they were really into it, you know. And then they were calling for better than before. And then Paul said, yeah, we'll only play it if you stand up and dance. And they came towards the front, and they were really young, and they were, you know, totally into better than before. So hopefully there's a new audience for us.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It all goes round. It all comes round again, you know. So, you know, bands. What happens is that people discover bands, and then, but because you discover a certain band, that leads you off to another band, and so on and so on, and you know, somehow, sadly, you stumble across Midway Steel.
But Midway Steel is not your band, the only band that you're doing right now, because you've also got the Tonks.
Yes, the Tonks is fabulous.
The Tonks is like tonk and roll. It says on your
Yeah,
Facebook
yeah.
page. So can you tell us, can you tell us more about the tonks?
The Tonks is great. So the Tonks is it's kind of like a rock and roll band, punk rock and roll, punk rock and roll.
Yeah,
But it's a great band. So I do that with three of my old school friends, and it's great. I mean, fantastic. Fred's a great lyricist, and Phil and
yeah.
Mike, great. Look, I've even got my Tonks t-shirt on today. So
Oh,
there we
it's
are.
okay.
There,
So
that's
yeah,
yeah. And they're fabulous. And we do quite a lot. We've got a gig coming up if you're around, folks, this Friday at the Wingham in just outside Canterbury in Kent. We're playing there on Friday,
yeah,
and it's great. Yeah, and it's good old rock and roll. And drumming wise, I play a really small stripped down kit, so I don't use any crash cymbals. I don't use any toms. I play hi hats, snare, and ride, and of course kick drum, and that's it. And I like to tell people it's a stylistic thing, but it's basically because I can't be arsed lugging on my drums around.
So is this
So
less energetic than Midway still, or is it
yeah,
more or
it is
less similar? Yeah.
very yeah. I
Are you
used to
doing
play.
your own
Sorry,
Are you doing your own
oh,
material, or is it like
yeah,
all material?
I'll
Yeah.
send you a copy of the album. There is an album
Oh,
came
great.
out
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
year ago, maybe 2, 3 years ago, and I'll send you a copy of that. It's really good. Yeah, it's a great rock and roll. It's rock and roll. Yeah, and it is powerful. Yeah, I mean, it is. As I say, look, I was in the same class as Michael, and then his brother Freddie's the singer. But Michael, as a guitarist, Michael and Phil are brilliant. Brilliant guitarist and bass player.
Yeah.
Phil was in the same year as Freddie at school. It's all our school. And
Yeah.
Phil has been doing stuff for years. Phil plays in other bands, but then somehow we all rendezvoused at the right time, and we're good and did this, and it's a
Yeah.
good band. It's a good band. I'll send you.
They weren't in the independent bondage band, were they?
No,
No, they're not the same guys.
they, they will all know the people that were independent.
Oh, right.
They will know Kev, but he was called Kev. The main guy, our friend, was called Kev Bass, and we used to refer to him as Kev Bass Crass, because he liked crass.
Oh,
So
that's right. Yeah.
very, yeah.
Well, how often do you gig? I mean, is it just mainly in Kent, or do you go
No,
all over the
no,
UK?
we've done a few. We don't do a lot, but again, because when you get older and the world gets in the way and stuff. But we
Yeah.
But we do. This year we haven't done many. We maybe 3 or 4 gigs a year. We would like to do more. I mean, so you never know. We've a friend of ours is going to do a bit of management. Funny enough, a guy
Yeah.
called Stu, good old Stuart Edwards. He sort of said he's going to start managing the band, just trying to get us gigs. So hopefully we'll start to do more.
Yeah.
And we're quite, and because we used to rehearse a lot, so we're quite tight. So we don't need a lot of rehearsals to be able to go out and play. If someone was just to say, "Can you rock up and do a gig?" Yes, we can. We're able to do it.
Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully you do Manchester or Liverpool, somewhere closer to me, because I've never been to Kent, and I think Kent is a bit difficult to get to by Megabus or Flixbus. You've got to
Yes.
go via London, and then it's a bit difficult coming back
Then
on the
go
same day. So
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I mean, we play, we're going to do stuff with you saw the Charlemagnes the other night.
yeah,
didn't you?
yeah,
Yeah, who are fantastic.
yeah,
And so Chris, the bass player, who used to be in bands, he was in a band called the Hysterics back in the day, Midways and all of that jazz. But Chris puts on gigs at the Hope and Anchor, and we've done a gig. I think we played with the Charlemagne at the time, so we're going to do a few more. Chris was saying, maybe this year or towards the end of this year we'll do some other with as the Tonks. So maybe with the Charlemagnes again, maybe we could get a support with them or something. So I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll, but nice to see you again. See you play again. And
All the drums.
right, well, I've got questions.
Oh dear. Okay.
First one is, what is a paradiddle?
It's a half parrot, half diddle. So you take a diddle and you take a parrot and you blend them together and you end up with a paradiddle. Yeah.
it's just really funny. You know, when I started doing Ask the Drummer, because I think drummers expect that I'll be asking about technical things, and I said to them,
Yeah,
I know
ask me,
nothing about it.
don't ask me technical. I don't know any technical things.
I just love drummers. I love watching them, and I love finding out more about them. But nothing about paradiddles and things
That's
like.
great. Yeah, don't ask me that.
So, when you were wearing a Bob Ross T-shirt at the Manchester gig,
Okay,
um,
yeah.
do you know the only time I've seen it is like there are memes going around about.
All right, okay, yes, yeah. Yeah, are you familiar with Bob Ross? Do you much about Bob Ross?
No, no, no. I was gonna
Oh,
ask you what's the connection with
all right,
Midway Still.
God, I mean, I just used to watch myself and Lou, my wife. We would quite often just watch Bob Ross. Right, so Bob Ross was an American artist who
Yeah.
did like an American TV channel where he would just in a very short space of time, just they would film him just painting a picture, and he would start blank canvas, and he would just start to paint a picture, and he would just talk while he was painting it, and
Oh,
it was in the 70s. And what's happened over the years, people now will watch it because it's so relaxing. It's such a it's I think a lot of people use it, mindfulness or mindlessness. I don't know what the terminology is, where you just literally switch off, and he's got such a lovely voice, and he just talks as he's painting, and he just comes up with this beautiful painting. And he and there's a great documentary on Netflix about him, and we love him, And there's a few little sayings that me and Lou will come up with. And we're just Bob Ross fans, or we were massive Bob Ross fans, and
oh,
hence I like to every now and then get out my Bob Ross. Yeah, we always have a saying is like, what would Bob Ross do? That's if anything's
oh, okay.
yeah. So if anything, you're suffering a bit, or yeah, what would Bob Ross do? He's got. Check out the Netflix documentary. It's great, and it'll give you an insight. And then watch some of his shows. They're lovely. They're really. And he's a fantastic artist, or he was. He's no longer with us now. He's a brilliant artist, and so he will really quickly conjure up these incredible paintings. And
Yeah.
what talking, and that's Bob
Yeah.
Ross.
Well,
Wonder, yeah.
does he sound because when you mentioned about the way he talks and things like it's like really mild sounding. So was it like whispering Bob Harris kind of
Yeah, yes, it's got
style?
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, where you literally you can get completely, lost in the voice.
yeah, yeah.
It's like I'm guessing
So
if
smooth
you
and
yeah
soft.
yeah I think when he did it, he probably when the shows probably came out at the time, it was probably a very different thing. But over the years, and of course now, with people being able to watch it online and everything, I think he exists now in a completely different way. And I would imagine it's something like if you've probably had a really stressful day or something, it's probably no, not probably, it is a really it's a really positive thing to just put Bob Ross on, wind down. It's probably just
Yeah.
have a very small glass of sherry and sit there and watch Bob Ross and and get yourself sort of like back on a nice plateau again. But yeah, check it out. Yeah, watch some Bob Ross shows and watch the documentary. It's really
Well,
cool.
how come you haven't got that as part of the merch?
Yeah.
Actually, the T-shirt that I got from Midway Still, the one that's like a Motorhead kind of thing.
All right. Yes. Did you get? Yes.
Yeah,
You got.
I wore it at the record fair
Yeah.
last week, and people were sort of like saying, "Is that Motorhead?" I said, "No, it's Midway Still. Look."
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, it's quite good. Yeah. We did that, and then we did the cat one. You saw the cat one, but it's got a nice little. Yeah, we ripped off Motorhead, and then we did our cat T-shirt as well, and we've got the lip. But on the Motorhead one, there's a subtle little badge that's got the cat bit on at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. So who's designing all your T-shirts?
That's all me. I do all
What's that you?
yeah.
You should do a Bob Ross one. People will buy them.
Well, for next year, I mean, now that you've said that, I mean, we're out of ideas. So yeah, maybe we would do a Bob Ross T-shirt. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I mean, we've got to come up with something.
Right, this time it's a proper question. I think it
Okay.
is a proper question. Someone called Phil McDermott, but
Oh,
he did say he's asking for a friend. Because he said when when you real as soon as you realize that you started playing a song too fast, because I think it is a serious question, but then the bassist will then try to keep up. So how do you go
Yeah.
about softly slowing the song down
I'll be asking for a
to
friend.
its correct speed?
Okay, but that, I know who that is. So that's
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, right.
So that's why, yeah, with knowing who that is, obviously that's Phil. So yeah, Phil is the bass player in the Tonks. So I would
Oh,
say,
I see.
so to answer that sincerely, I would say to the, he's just got to learn to play faster. That's as simple as that. You've got to get practice more, Phil. That's what you need to do. Practice more. Yeah. You've got to learn to keep up. Yeah.
Because it's always, like you said, it's the rhythm sections, the bass player and the
Yeah. Yeah.
drums. They've got
Yes.
to make sure that they really gel and they know what to do.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause,
yeah. That's the most important thing in terms of, that's where, that's the sort of, it's not the most important thing, but that's the rock, and so you have to play together. Yeah. And over the years, I've played with a lot of good bass players. Phil's a great bass player. So of course, and I'll go off like the clappers playing a song, because we all do. The adrenaline takes over and you play a song too fast. It's what happens all the time. And yeah, and you've got to just keep up, Phil. That's what. I'm not gonna, I'm not going to suddenly change now. I'm never going to slow down. So yeah,
but it's the drummer who keeps the time, as the
yeah, or not.
he
Yeah,
sets it, who sets the time for it.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And
yes.
I saw another question. I don't know if this is a serious one though. Any chance of an egg beater? What does that mean? This is one from Neil Cox.
Any chance of an egg beat? I don't know.
Egg beater? Egg beater? I don't know what that means.
I,
I thought maybe it's something like a reference to Midway still one or something, but
I, no, I don't know what that means. No,
you
sorry.
know, okay. You've got to sort of like just look it up on your page, because I think it came up on your page as well.
Oh,
So
no,
yeah.
sorry.
But another one is when you played at the Castle Hotel in Manchester.
Yeah.
Uh, he kept on going about, but not you. The singer said kept on going about Leo Sayer. So what about, what is it about Leo Sayer?
I honestly have no idea. I don't know. Yeah, God knows. I don't know how that would come up. Yeah, I mean, we like Leo Sayer, but why it suddenly became a thing, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. It must have been. It's a random. Sometimes, something comes up in a conversation, and then transcends itself into the gig. But yeah, I don't know. Christ, yeah.
Okay, so you're
God
not
knows.
doing a cover of any Leo Sayer,
No,
like
not
When I
really.
Need You or something,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not really fast.
Great song though. We were talking about it, so that's probably what's happened. I think we were talking about that. That is a great song. When I Need You.
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah,
main,
yeah.
yeah, and Leo Sayer. Funnily enough, Leo Sayer looks a lot like Bob Ross. So they had a very,
Oh my
very
God,
similar
yes.
styles. So maybe, yeah. See, there's a strange sort of synergy there. So that's
Oh my God. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
So maybe we could do
That's what I was
a
thinking.
t-shirt that, yeah. Leo Sayer on the front and Bob Ross
And
on the
then
back.
Barbara.
Just these
Oh
big.
wow. I'm gonna ask you about your signature, because it's very unusual and I really like it. It's
Oh,
drums,
with the
isn't it?
thumbs up. I do a
Yeah.
thumbs up. Yeah, I've been doing that for years. I've been doing that. I don't know why. I just always, yeah. And I think it comes from an old school. Right. So this is ridiculous. Yeah. So it's an old school friend of ours, many
Yeah.
years ago. A guy called Dom. So this is talking about primary school. And a friend of mine. I used to do a comedy thing. So that's a conversation for another day. But a guy that I used to do it with, Steve, he always, whenever you do a thumbs up, and Dom, a friend of ours, when Dom used to, this is when he was really young, whenever he did a thumbs up, he did it really badly. He did it like that. So he used to do a really bad thumbs up, I don't know where I'm going with this. So it just became, I used to start then drawing Dom's really bad thumbs up. and for some reason, it ended up as part of my signature.
It's just, yeah.
When I sign my name, when I do something, sign my name on something, I do Dom's really bad bad thumb. Sorry, bad thumbs up. Yeah, my bad signature with Dom's bad thumb. Yeah.
It's because you're an art.
Yeah, I
You
mean, I was an
do
illustrator.
art and things.
Yeah, I was an
Yeah.
illustrator for quite a few years. Yeah, I mean, I don't draw anymore, but I'm a graphic designer now. That's what I do
Oh,
for a living.
graphic designer. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
So is that
but
what
I,
you do when you're not?
yeah,
Yeah, when you're not playing drums and when you're not touring. So
I'm
you work as
design.
a graphic designer.
Yeah. And I started as an illustrator back in many years ago in the 80s. I was an illustrator, but then over the years that's changed because with computers, people don't tend to sit down and illustrate. Although Little John, the original Midway's bass player, John's an illustrator. That's what John does for a living. So so that's the rhythm section is also we're very artistic, But
Wow.
but I don't get my
Yeah.
pen and
So
paint out
do
more.
they know at work that you're the drummer of Midway still?
Do they? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's only a small company. But Steve, guy I work with, Steve's a drummer as well. So we all
Oh,
they know that I'm a drummer. We all know that I'm a
yeah,
drummer.
yeah.
I'm always tapping on.
Yeah.
I can't help. I tap on tables and I'm always tapping. So it's the curse of being a drummer. You're always tapping. The minute you hear music, you tap, and I'm always doing annoying people. Yeah.
Do you get recognized when you go out?
Not really. I mean, I have been, I have been, but not so much these days. It's I mean, it's when you're. I remember, funny enough, a few years ago when I used to work near Bromley, and I remember this cabbie put it. So this is going back, I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago, something like that, probably. A cabbie
Yeah.
pulling over, and I was walking around Bromley, and a
Yeah.
cabbie pulled over, and he went, "Oi!" And I remember thinking, "What?" And he was like, "Excuse me, are you the drummer from Midway still?" And I was like, "Oh, and then it's lovely. Then, of course, you get recognised. But no, nowadays, no. I mean, we're so small and insignificant that no one's going to recognise me.
Oh.
My mum doesn't even recognise me, let alone, anyone else."
But you don't mind people so like asking you for photographs or maybe signatures and things
No,
when they see you.
only at gigs. Yeah, once you're away from that gig world and that tour world, no, it doesn't happen. No, no.
Yeah.
Those days are long.
So no one saw like ask you while you were having dinner or something. It's like,
No,
excuse me, you're
no, those days are long gone. Yeah, if only.
Wait, I've still got, and I'm really enjoying this thing, and we've been chatting for about an hour and a half now. But
Really? Oh,
yeah, I've got four more questions that I always
brilliant.
ask
Okay.
before I let you go.
Fire
Um,
away.
the first one is, I've seen you doing this, and I think that's fantastic because I love it when drummers actually have their own, because it's entertainment, isn't it? You don't want to just play there and
Yeah, you give.
not doing much and things.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, not that I'm saying that not doing much, but just playing, but with no entertainment things. And I'm glad that you do that. But one thing is, do you twirl when you play?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have a. I don't have a stat. I don't stick 12, which I can fart
Yeah,
on. I do the one where I just spin it in my hand. So I'll just turn a stick in my hand. And again, when I finish a song, I'll just only right-handed. I'll just twirl a stick, and that's another thing that I don't really think about. So I can, But I can. I can. I don't get. I don't really do a lot of tricks, but I can. Sometimes I'll sit up. If I'm sat
yeah,
at home doing nothing, I might pick up some sticks and just try and do some twirls. But
yeah,
I'm not good at it. But I'll keep going. But yeah, I've got one that I can do quite easily, which is just a twirl through the hand. Yeah.
yeah.
Not gonna
I
get.
think
I'll
I think I
probably
did.
scream. Yeah.
I think I did see you twirl a bit, not like too much of a twirling, but I think I did see you. But also another thing that I remember now is You like raising your arm. I like that in a drummer as well. You like.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
I'm
quite.
looking at the audience.
Yeah, yeah. I am animated, and look, there's a part of it that yeah, you are giving a show, and it is, it's a weird thing to be in front of people, and the ego starts to come out. It's not well, no, it's not an ego, but the showman starts to come
Show,
out.
yeah, the
And yeah,
showmanship. Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't, and drummers, as I say, look, drummers are sort of the traditional thing is you're tucked away at the back, but then over the years you have the Keith Moons that suddenly put on these shows. So I do. If I'm drumming, I am going to. I fluctuate as I when I'm playing. I always go through these little moments of enhancing what I'm doing, and then sort of thinking, oh, what am I doing? And then going back and being a little bit reserved, and then coming out again. So I kind of think about things as I'm doing it, and then you get a bit lost in a song. And, as I say, that thing, I never consciously sit there and think I'm going to do that. That just happens. It's just before a song when I'm about to
yeah.
come down, if there's a pause or something. So that is, yeah. There's no conscious sort of like decision to do that. That's just something that it's just over the years, that's just morphed into how I will attack a drum, before a little pause before I go back into the next thing. It's just, it's my sort of stance for hovering, so that I'm not just sat there like that, so
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. I always love drummers who can do a bit of showmanship, because sometimes I think, especially in bigger or medium-sized venues where they just sort of like at the back and there's no spotlight on them and there's no sort of like, you can hardly see them. In smaller venues like the Castle Hotel, we can see you, and there's only three of you, so you're in the middle, so no one blocking you.
This is Margarita. She's come to see us. Look at that!
Oh, hello! Oh my God!
Isn't that great? The Midway Steel T-shirts are based on Nacho, but this is Margarita has come to be. Look, Margarita, look. You're
hello,
fine.
Margarita.
Yeah. Margarita wants to also do a tour of the Philippines. She's desperate to go out and play the Philippines. So. look, she's there. Look, there she is. Oh, she's gone now. I've upset her now. Sorry. There we go.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, I really hope you'll do it someday. But yeah, as I was saying, I mean, it's just nice to see drummers in front, because sometimes, especially when they're like at least 4 or 5 members on stage, you often, the drummers get blocked. You can, no matter what angle you go, which side of the stage, there's someone like the guitarist or the singer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes, look, look, there are a lot of drummers that I love that don't do much, over the years. Say, for example, like, a drummer that I used to really love is Nick Knox from the Cramps, who would just sit there, just boom, bam, boom, boom, bam, boom, boom, just pair of shades on, not moving, and that's perfect for the Cramps. It wouldn't have worked if he'd have been going everywhere, because Lux and Ivy were the main people in the Cramps, to do their thing. So those sort of drummers can work. But for me, if I'm watching a band, I love seeing drummers that are animated and getting into it. And as a three-piece, I'm not saying it's integral, but and it's not showing off. It's just enjoying what you're doing. That's all it is. And as a three-piece, sometimes it's quite important. It gives another dimension to the band.
Yeah.
But the essence is, as I've always said, it's not a conscious effort on my part. That is just how I drum. It's just what's happened over the years. It's just what I am as a drummer. I've not sat there and decided to play like that. That has just happened. For what? I don't know why.
Your style and stuff. Yeah. Do you sing?
Do I sing? No.
They haven't asked you to sort of like do backing vocals.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've had a go in the past as backing vocals, but it kind of gets in the way of drumming. I find it hard to drum and the way I drum. Because there's a lot of syncopes. It's a lot of cymbals and flicks and that.
Yeah.
Sometimes with singing, it's better when you're sat on a groove, But I don't drum in that way, so I don't do it. And Russell, Russell and Paul, he's good at it. So Russ can cover everything for Paulie. You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't need me. You know, and I've not got a particularly good voice, so yeah.
Oh.
More to the point.
No, it's I do admire, people, drummers who also sing, and then
Oh
sometimes
yeah,
doing
yeah.
complicated, so like
It's,
drum beats and still singing. I was like, oh my god, it's like,
it's amazing. Have you ever seen Duncan from Snuff? Have you seen Duncan?
no, no.
Oh man, yeah, Duncan. Yeah, if you ever get a
Is
chance to see, oh, Duncan is yeah. He
oh,
was and still is incredible. You know, yeah, and he's still doing Snuff, and
yeah. Are they
Duncan.
still playing? Are they,
Yeah, they're still playing. Yeah, yeah. It's
oh,
different. It's Duncan from the original lineup, but it's still Snuff. And as a singing drummer, wow, the man is, he's amazing. What
yeah.
he plays, how he sings, he is phenomenal. Yeah, if you get a chance to, you would love it. You would love it. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay, well, I'll make a note of it, and then
yeah,
I'll Google them, or maybe
yeah,
go on Facebook and see if
yeah.
they have a gig coming up somewhere near me. Next question is drumming heroes. Do you have
Drumming.
any drumming heroes? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think I think my first drumming hero was probably Phil Taylor from Motorhead. I think Phil was the first drummer that I was really excited by. I mean, there's loads of bands I was into. Uh, I've been into the Pistols and Paul Cook, and I've been into the Buzzcocks and John Mayer at that point in
Yeah.
time. But the first drum band that I was into, where I was really into the drummer, I would say was Motorhead and Filthy Phil Taylor. So I just have a sip of this, a sip of my orange juice. Look at that. Delicious, yeah. But so I would always say my hero, if it was a drumming hero, it's Filthy Animal Taylor. Yeah, yeah, just
Wow.
again, wild, beautiful hi hat work, beautiful fills, and again played a bit like a madman, So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, it's my
Do
favourite.
you, do you still do you still go to gigs? I mean, not your own gigs,
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah,
but you still do.
I do.
And
Yeah.
when you go to gigs, do you watch the drummers?
I
Or,
always do. Yes,
and, yeah.
I love. Yeah, I mean that's always. Yeah, it's not that if the drummer's not very good, it doesn't mean that I won't like the band, but it does help. So if I go to a gig and I always
Yeah.
concentrate, of course you do. I mean, I'll love watching band. But, yeah, I will
Yeah.
always. Yeah. So recently I went to see a band called Coffin. Have you heard of Coffin? They COFFIN. They're Australian.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, they're good. Yeah, they're great, and they've got a singing drummer. Funny enough, I think they're going to be very. I think they could be very big. They're on the cusp. They've had quite a few albums, so they're on the cusp of maybe getting a little bit bigger. But again, I love them because they're a great band, but
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
band with a great drummer who also sings. So for me, they are so right up my street. So of course
Oh,
it is. Yes, if you watch
yeah.
if a band's got a really bad drummer, it is hard for me to enjoy them. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Because obviously you see it differently from, say, the fans, or like I do. I mean, for me,
yeah,
I just love watching drummers. But
yeah,
because you're a drummer yourself, you see how
yeah,
how they're supposed to be playing, or you see their
yeah,
techniques and stuff.
yeah. And
So,
you don't
yeah,
have to you don't have to be the best drummer in the world. Because you have to be. For me, you don't have to be technically brilliant, but you just have to be the right drummer for that band. If you know what I mean.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
because there are lots of, again, one of my favourite bands of all time is the Velvet Underground, and Mo Tucker in the Velvet Underground was, again, like Nick Knox. I was just saying, Mo Tucker is just, it was just a floor tom and a snare, or maybe even the bass drum on its front, and just playing really simple, but it worked perfectly for the Velvet Underground. So, and again, not technical, no fills, no cymbals, nothing, like just keeping that beat. That's all you need. So, and that's I guess that's a prime example of a drummer that is perfect for a band. Not the greatest drummer in the world, but you don't need to be for certain bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you ever go to a drummer, like the drummer that you like, and then talk to them about it, or have you ever met like the most famous drummer that you've met? Have you ever thought?
God, I mean, who we met. Yeah, we played with Nirvana back in.
You,
So we played with Nirvana in at the beginning of the Nevermind tour in
oh,
Bristol,
wow.
in Beer Colour. Yeah, so that was, and then afterwards, that I'll tell you what was great is Dave Grohl came.
Yeah.
So when they did the last show, and I don't recall this, Little John recalls this better than me, but Dave Grohl came up to us, came up to find us, and came up and said to me that he went, "Oh, you're a really great drummer," which is great. And I was thinking, wow. And I probably would have went, not as good as you, obviously. Nowhere near as good as you. But I've never gone up to it. I mean, there'll be loads of drummers that I will have seen out at gigs and things that I will have adored, but I probably have. But, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't recall certain drummers.
Yeah. But
I,
being a musician, well, being a musician yourself, I mean, obviously, it's not the same as with me. Like every time I see a musician, especially a drummer, oh, can I have a photograph or something like
yeah.
that? So, do you ever have any photograph with a drummer or a musician?
No, I can't say I do. No, I mean,
No,
no, I'm trying to think. What have I got? Yeah, I don't think I have. With
no.
I've got none of my. I mean, that.
Sorry, sorry about this.
It's all right. They're coming to arrest us. I don't agree with the questions or the answers.
Yeah, when I was in Glasgow this weekend, I was talking to a really lovely lady, and they live in like a countryside where it's really quiet and everything. And I just said to her, I could never live in a place like that because I love my sirens. And
Like the police sirens keep you in check. Yeah.
and the ambulances and all the cars going. So
Yeah, you find it odd if you weren't there. I get it. Yeah,
yeah, because it's like when it's quiet. For me, when it's quiet, it I don't know if it's just me or maybe other people feel it as well, but it's louder. It's like when it's silent, then it makes my ears like this ringing sound that makes it
you're hearing the silence. That's what it is.
like something like that. Yeah, and it seems like louder than any of the any of the ambulance thingers.
Yeah, no, well, I suppose you have different things. I mean, we are where we are now. So we are in it's a place called Caterham, which is kind of like outside of London. So, and it is quiet here. But then I've lived in when we used to live in South London, in near Annerley, and that was very loud. But you get used to it. It's like anywhere, and you kind of like. I mean, I've lived in lots of towns and stuff where it's very loud, and lots of places that are quiet, and you kind of your brain gets into a certain point where you don't hear those sounds, and it becomes part of your existence.
Yeah.
How you exist with those sounds. So yeah, I completely get it. Yeah.
Going back to sorry about that.
Sorry, we went off on a tangent, didn't we?
Yeah. So when you see drummers and you talk to drummers, do you ask or do you do drum talk, like ask exchange tips and things like that, or no, you just don't?
Yeah, not really. I'll talk to a lot of drummers, like in bands and stuff, but most of the drummers that I know are not overtly technical. You find when you talk to a lot of the drummers, I find that they're all quite like me, where you're a drummer, but there's always a little bit of imposter syndrome where, yes, look, I can drum and I can, I know about rudiments and this, that, and the other, but I don't really, it's all a bit. So, but yes, we'll talk about bits and pieces. Dave, the drummer from the Charlemagne's this week, a lot about drumming. We were chatting about, but we're kind of like we're all sort of like self-taught drummers in a way, So you don't tend to talk about the technical side of drumming, And I think we all come from a world. A lot of the drummers I know come from a world where you're into the music, rather than the technique, shall we say?
Yeah.
So we were watching Oppenheimer early. We were finishing off, myself and Lou, my wife. We were watching Oppenheimer. There was a little quote in there where there's a little. I just thought it was quite a nice thing. There's something where it said, I heard he said something. Don't read the music, listen to the music. And I thought that's quite a thing, So I kind of think I would think of myself as like a drummer. if that's something, you know, and I know it's a bit cliche, but yeah, where I listen to bands and that gets me into the drumming and the drummer, but I don't necessarily, I'm not a technical drummer in as much as, you know, look, I'll be like everyone else, I'll watch YouTube videos and get suitably depressed over how amazing these young kids are. What they do is just ridiculous levels, you know, where it's evolved, you know, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I have my own. I'm happy with what I am as a drummer, ish.
Yeah. And you're in a band, because I think sometimes there's people, they're amazing drummers, but they're not in the band, they're not playing. So they
Yeah,
are amazing, but you know,
yeah,
they're not out
yeah,
there playing. And then
yeah, yeah. I always say those things. What you want to do is like, yeah, you may be able to do all those, you know, phenomenal rudiments and incredible things, but
hello?
I'm back again.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
There's,
Right, you're back. Yeah. Are you okay?
back. Yeah, we're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We're back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, yeah, with a lot of those drummers, go and play for AC/DC, and that's what it's about. If you're not Phil Rudd, just be. Sometimes you just need to be Phil Rudd. You know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You don't need frills and everything, and you know, I think there's a great Phil Rudd quote about AC/DC doing something where he never goes anywhere near the toms on a recording session. They were there for ages, like a week, and he never went anywhere near the toms. And someone said, "You don't go anywhere. You didn't play any toms or do anything." And he just said, "Yeah, I didn't need them." So that's it, you know. And you listen to those AC/DC records and just go, yeah, just don't need them. Everything is taken care of, you know, and that's kind of So yes, there is an element where those drummers are great, but yeah, sometimes yes, you don't want it to overpower the band. Sometimes the music is more important than the drummer, you know, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know, the song is more important than the drummer. Yes. Yeah.
And speaking of the Charlemagnes, I mean, I wanted to speak to their drummer, but they were all gone by that time. I think they left early, so hopefully.
In Manchester they did, because they were driving back. They said, they were driving back to London that night. So they all, they all had to.
Okay, well, hopefully I'll see them again someday.
Yeah.
With the Tonks.
Yes.
The Charlemagnes and the Tonks. Yeah. Two more questions. You've been playing since you were 13. Yes. Have you ever had any disasters or drumming disasters or accidents?
Yeah, I mean, I've had I mean, how long have we got left?
Being so energetic, I mean,
I once knocked myself sort of out a gig in Liverpool. Before we started, I was on stage and we were setting the drums up, and there was a low pipe or something on the ceiling of the stage. And 1 minute I'm on the stage, and the next thing I know, I'm lying on the floor and there's people around me. And I've walked in and hit my head on the thing, fallen off. And I did the gig in Liverpool. I was so bad, and then I had to go to hospital afterwards.
Okay.
Being concussed. So I guess that was pretty poor. As for disasters, though, playing wise, I mean, probably more than I can remember. So, no, nothing terrible, but other than forgetting bits in songs and hitting my finger. I hit my finger the other day, and that was on the side of the snare. I've done that quite a few times. This finger is knackered, you know, where you're drumming and you crack it. So sometimes you flick a stick and it moves your finger, your snare hand, and then you just bash, you know, down on a downstroke, and you just crack it on the side of the snare. And I've done that. This poor finger inside, this will be ruined. And that if you do that early on in a gig, by God, it hurts. It's hard work, you know, and then so it swells up. So that's
I have seen drummers. I've seen drummers sort of like posting, what happened to the finger, and did they use glue or something, or gaffer tape to put it back together, or something like that? Or
gaffer,
I
have lots of things. I mean, back in the day, you know, I'd split open. I remember this one time splitting open early at a gig when we were young. And, I remember the snare used to just be covered in blood, you know, because I just split I have a scar there where I just crack it on the side of the snare, and you just split your finger open, proper split, and of course blood would go everywhere. And it's just, it's part, yes, it's part and parcel of drumming, especially if you're again an energetic drummer, and you get carried away, and then
Yeah,
and suddenly,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So you do miss sometimes,
Mm,
like
yeah,
because sometimes when I go watch the drummers, and then it sounded like they didn't hit the right, I don't know, side of the drums or something, because it sounded a bit like light, or
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
they only hit the wooden
yeah.
rim
The
or whatever.
rib. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So it's not always so like perfect every
It's
time you
never
hit
perfect.
the drum.
It's never perfect. Yeah, I mean, you can do. There are little bits and pieces. You get away with it, and it's like there are loads of, we'll make mistakes. We're old. We have little glitches where feels. There are loads of bits where, as you go gig after gig after gig, you get tighter and tighter and tighter. But early
Yeah,
on in the tour, you of course you're making loads of mistakes, and even the best musicians in the world will make little errors or not play things as good as they could play them. We're humans, like everyone is a human being. So yeah, I make mistakes left, right, and centre. I just have learned to cover them up very well, and
yeah.
and smile as if it was done intentionally. So that's what I do.
But is it um? But does it matter because or maybe it's got something to do with if it's not your right kit, then you're not used to that playing that, and then maybe you hit it
Yeah, I
way.
can't.
If it was your own kit, maybe you wouldn't.
But that was my
Yeah.
own kit. Most of it is my own kit I usually use. So yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I get on tour, I bring my own kit, and then we all, and then Dave from the Charlemagne uses it as well. But yes, back in the day, if you are using something that isn't your kit, then you are more liable to make mistakes. Yeah, because I always think you have your throne and your snare and your first rack in exactly a certain position, so that my thing is sitting. I mean, one of the most important things for me bringing to any gig is bringing the stool. Bring a stool. Always bring a stool so that you are positioned. But of course, if you're positioned and the
Yeah,
snare slightly out of position, the rack tom's out of position, yeah, it's going to be, you're not going to play as good as if you were where everything's positioned perfectly. So
yeah, yeah,
yes, it's hard. It is harder on an alien kit as opposed to your own.
yeah. Because
Yeah,
I think it's the reason, another thing why I really admire the drummers, because they have so many things. When you're setting up, there's so many things that you have to make sure is perfect for you individually. Because
yeah,
with the guitar,
yeah,
if a guitarist, they only have their guitar and then they'll set it up and they have their pedals there, and then
yeah.
and then that's it. But with the drums, I
See,
think there's so many different things.
those guitarists and bass players, they don't know how hard it is. No, it is. I mean, you do that thing, and it is, you have to get the position perfectly, because of course,
Yeah, yeah,
when you're playing, and if you just flick out for a cymbal, a crash cymbal, and your cymbal isn't in your natural position, you're more aware that you've got to extend and try and hit it. So you're not just playing.
yeah,
You lose a little bit your natural flow, shall we say? So
yeah.
yeah, and it is, of course, and then of course cymbal stands are collapsing, and I mean, I don't know how many gigs in the past I've done where you haven't tightened your cymbal stand properly, and the first song you hit something or whack the other side, and the cymbal stand just collapses.
Yeah, I have
You know.
seen
And
that.
we used to have roadies back in the day. Colin, and Harry used to look after us, and they would run on stage and do everything. But nowadays we don't have anyone to look after us.
Just
They
yourselves.
get through a song and then quickly adjust it for the next song.
And are you precious about your kit? So it was your kit that you were using for the whole
Yeah,
tour.
yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah,
You're okay with other drummers using it, and
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
No,
that's
no issues. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I mean, part of the punk rock background, you're helping everyone out. I expect, but it's nice bands lending gear and helping everyone out. And,
yeah.
I'm happy to lend my gear out. Yeah, not precious about it. No,
Well, you must have rules though. Don't hit it too hard or something, because you don't want
no,
it.
no, no, it's fine. No, I mean everyone, the drummers, everyone So you have your kind of your basics, and then all drummers will bring their own breakables. So there's like,
Breakables, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I've learned that. Yeah.
Dave will have had his own kick pedal and his own cymbals and snare, and that's fine. You're not going to break anything else. It's fine. No one.
No, it's
You'd have to go some. I have gone through snares and I break a lot of cymbals, but they're mine, so it's fine. I
yeah.
nobody else.
Okay, I've got my last question for you now because we're nearly
Okay.
like 2 hours. I can't believe it. Thank you so much, anyways.
No,
But
no
last,
worries.
last,
No worries. It's been fun.
my last question for you now is: what
Yeah.
would be your advice to aspiring drummers or musicians in general?
God, right. So I always think and it is play to the song. Listen, enjoy the song. So you're trying to, for me, and I'm not saying this is wrong or right, but play to the song. Don't try and think I'm now a drummer and I've got to do a fill here and I've got to do this here and I've got to do that. Just listen to that song, get in the zone and play with that. It's the most important thing, So just, yeah, I mean, practicing important? It is, but practice with the band. Practicing with the band is more important, I think. Learn how to play with the band and learn how to play to the song. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's my thing. That's me. Whether it's
Yeah,
right,
that's true. I don't know why I said that this Sunday seems to be like there's so many things happening outside. But I'm really sorry.
yeah.
But do you know, uh, this is final question now. For a
Yeah.
drummer, how come you've got so many guitars up there? Do you?
Oh, right. Yes. I purpose like that because I kind of just dabble around. I play a little.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I play guitar. That's a Gordon Smith. That's my acoustic, and that's a Rickenbacker that I'm in the process of building. I'm building that. I've been building that for years. So,
Oh, I see. Okay.
so yeah, and I just hang them up there. And then whenever I sit in here and they're up there,
Yeah.
there's a keyboard there. There's a keyboard. Look, there's a keyboard. And
Oh,
that's
wow.
my wife. Lou plays the keyboard. So yeah, we used to
Yeah.
we do jam occasionally, but we haven't jammed for ages. But yeah, I play guitar badly, but I do play guitar. Yes.
Oh, you do play guitar as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Deck. I really enjoyed chatting to you. And once again, I really
Yeah.
want to say thank you because, I only saw Midway still a couple of weeks ago. And, it was such short notice. But thank you for saying yes. And
Pleasure. It's been fun. It's been fun.
hopefully I'll see you again, either Midway still or the Tonks. And, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you
And,
too.
thank you so much. Take care always. And hello to Margarita and to Lou. Your wife is called
Lou,
yeah.
Lou, and the cats are Nat.
Lou and Margarita. Yeah. Thank you so much. See you again. Yeah.
Right.
Bye, Deck. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Oh, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. Oh my God, I really enjoyed that one. I was so thinking nearly 2 hours now, and I've still got wanting to ask him so many things. 'Cause it's such a joy chatting to him, and it's like Aiden said, great conversation, full of insights. Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much to everyone. Sis, thank you for watching us live. 2 hours. It's now nearly 11 o'clock in Manila, so bedtime there now. So, but hopefully you'll watch again next week. Thank you. And right, once again, if you haven't heard of, well, maybe I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Midway still. It's just me. It was, I left the Philippines, and I don't remember seeing any videos of them or hearing about them when I was in the Middle East. But I'm really glad that I found out about them. Thanks again to Richard Farnell. Next week is actually the anniversary of Ask the Drummer, 4th-year anniversary. We've been going for 4 years, so I'm really proud about doing this. I mean, my love for drummers is just incredible, and I'm not gonna say it now just in case something happens, but I'm gonna have a very, very special guest for the 4th-year anniversary next Sunday. So do keep an eye out for the guest announcement post on the Ask the Drummer Facebook page, and hopefully you can join us again next Sunday. But once again, thank you so much. And God, I don't know what else to say apart from thank you, Deck Kelly. Uh, it's just amazing. I mean, I'm really glad that I really had a great time. So, as always, love music, love life, love drummers. They're absolutely amazing. It's so awesome, chatting to them and watching them play live. So enjoy the rest of your weekend and hope to see you all again next Sunday. Bye for now. Bye.